What's going on, everyone? It's Chris from 416 Coffee, and this is episode 47 of Coffee with Chris. Now, in this episode, I wanted to talk about dialing in your grind when there's changes in temperature. So this mainly applies to espresso. This will make a difference in filter coffees as well if you're doing like V60s, Kalita Waves, Chemexes, but mainly you're really going to notice this with espresso. So roasted coffee is very dry, it's very porous, and it loves to absorb moisture. So depending on kind of the climate that coffee is being produced in, where you're extracting the coffee, that's going to change how that coffee comes out. So as a day gets more humid, or as you move into summer months where there's huge humidity levels, coffee tends to extract slower because those coffee grounds or those coffee beans are absorbing the moisture in the area, and they're clumping together and making it harder for the water to pass through and extract. So what you get is a slower shot time. So you might come in the morning and your coffee's extracting really well, and then by middle of the day when it's kind of peak humidity levels, you realize that it's kind of over extracting a bit. It's dripping out a little bit. It's coming a lot slower. Your shots are running a little long. So what you have to do here is you have to just open up that grind a bit, just coarsen it up a bit. Now, vice versa, once you've coarsened up that grind, if let's say you run into a few days that are a lot drier, humidity is a lot lower, maybe you go through a cold spell all of a sudden, then you're gonna have to tighten up that grind a bit more because now that coffee's not absorbing as much moisture. So, in short, you have to be aware of the humidity levels, aware of the temperature around where you're extracting coffee, because that's gonna make a huge difference to your grind. So always, if you're making espresso, dial in that grind kind of day to day, especially in times of year where there's a lot of flux. I mean, I know right now in Canada, we're dialing in our grind every morning at the shop because every day kind of looks different, and sometimes we're even dialing it in middle of the day or making small adjustments as we go during business hours, simply because it's too crazy. There's too much like sways in temperature, rain's coming, rain's going, there's humidity, there's low humidity days, so you kind of always got to stay on top of it. Now, if you have an at-home setup and you got your AC cranked, then temperature should be relatively stable. You might not have to dial it in that often, but just be aware that humidity can make a huge difference in how your coffee is extracting. You don't need to go through an insane process of racking your head about maybe a problem with your machine or anything like that. It probably just comes down to humidity. So just be aware of that, make your adjustments, and see what happens. Keep going on the principles that we talked about before, basically being your grams in, grams out, time of extraction. As long as you're hitting those three things, you're going to be okay. But just always be aware that humidity and the temperature in general plays a massive role in how your espresso is extracted. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll talk to you next time.